Everybody, thanks for watching. Now, I don't care how many videos I already have on the whole Hebrew Israelite doctrine and everything like that. It's too many people still falling for this doctrine. And of course, as I said before, I understand why. And it becomes a question of who is actually doing research and who is just following what they are hearing. Now, a lot of people listen to the doctrine and it makes sense. And it's people who love the Bible, who love Jesus and everything like that, but they don't necessarily believe in Christianity and everything that it's talking about, because you ask yourself, how can a Jesus or this guy be talking about, love and mercy and peace and everything like that, but then allow something like slavery to take place? So, of course, a lot of black people scratch their head on that, but they still have their emotions attached to the Bible and attached to these deities and Christianity. And the alternative for some people was Islam, and for other people now is the whole Hebrew Israelite doctrine. And it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people who are not doing the research. And there's nothing that you can say to some people to get them away from this doctrine. But there are some of you out there who are willing to listen to reason and who are still actively doing research and trying to figure out the truth, which is why I make these videos. And I have quite a few now on this doctrine. I still get messages. I still get questions about the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. And, as I talk about norepinephrine, how it kicks in, the fight or flight hormone, when a person sees something that goes against, their religion, their belief, something they have an emotional attachment to, they lash out. So, of course, most of the messages I get is straight up from the jump, negative, derogatory, calling me names and childish stuff like that because of the video that they don't watch. But as I said, there are some of you who want the truth, who want facts. And, we're going to get into that because I can't fathom how, so much information now, even when you look at some of the debates that have been put up on YouTube, that it's overwhelmingly proven what the Hebrew Israelite doctrine is and what the truth about the Bible is and what the facts are. Now, as I said, let's just take it from the beginning. I can understand how a lot of people think that the Bible is black history or real black history because it's talking about slavery and everything it talks about in Deuteronomy 28 that Hebrews point to. But you have to understand real proven history. Now, if you conscious enough, if you smart enough to escape from the bogus Christianity stuff that they've been feeding us for hundreds of years, then you're smart enough to comprehend what I'm about to say here. Yes, of course, Deuteronomy 28 is talking about black slaves in America. There is no way around that. But you have to understand, you believe that the King James Version is saying the exact same thing as Deuteronomy 28 2,000 years ago, which we do not have that manuscript that you believe Moses wrote. And you think King James, when he created his version, is saying the exact same thing as the manuscript that Moses wrote, over 2,000 years ago. So therefore, Moses had a prophecy saying that all this stuff would happen to black people, and it did happen as it says in the Bible. But you are not realizing that the King James Version was written between 1604 and 1611 when slavery was already going on. Slavery was already in full swing. So, of course, they knew about the yoke of iron. They already knew what was going on with the slaves, and they just simply wrote about it. So now understand what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is the King James Version, Deuteronomy 28 and the King James Version is not the same as what Moses supposedly had written or what the oldest manuscripts say in Deuteronomy. King James put his own version in Deuteronomy 28. And the only way we can prove that is to go back and look at the older manuscripts and look at Deuteronomy 28 and see what it's saying. And you will see clearly that it's different from your King James Version because it's King James's version is not the same as the oldest one. So obviously King James had a different agenda from the oldest manuscripts. Now, when you go ahead and read, let's just use Deuteronomy 28:68, because what you're going to find is when you go back to look at at the more ancient manuscripts with Deuteronomy, most of it is gone. So we know that the oldest complete, and I'm saying complete, not the oldest, but the oldest complete biblical manuscript would be Codex Sinaiticus. We can argue that it's the Ethiopian Bible, but that's up for debate, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But in any case, it does not say what it's talking about in Deuteronomy 28 in King James Version. So when we look at Deuteronomy 28:68, it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Now, when we look at Deuteronomy 28 in Codex Sinaiticus, which is the oldest complete biblical manuscript, it does not say anything in Deuteronomy 28:68 about Egypt or ships. The verse is not even that long when you take a look at it. It says, "Definite place there presents an enemy unto your child, and child run away and not be the inquiry." Says nothing about ships, nothing about Egypt. And when you go and look at the Peshitta, when you go look at the oldest biblical manuscripts, Deuteronomy 28 is not the same. This is why Hebrew Israelites need you to believe that King James is first a black man, and that King James had a spirit put on him to create the King James Version, because they know Deuteronomy is not the same when you go look at the older manuscripts. So now you got to believe that King James and his scribes had a spirit put on them to give us the correct translation of the Bible. You know, they had a spirit put on him, but he gave us his version. God put a spirit on them, but it wasn't God's version. It wasn't the inspired word of God. It was the King James authorized version that we get. And that's something you got to think about. So now, of course, people will say, well, wait a minute, you can't use that Greek version. The Old Testament was written originally in Hebrew, but we can't prove that. This is something that they will not tell you either. We can't prove there was ever an original Torah or Tanakh or Old Testament in Hebrew. The original, officially, I'm talking about the official explanation, the official proof, all the evidence and facts point to the official Old Testament Torah or Tanakh coming into existence that we actually have and possess in Greek, not Hebrew. So if you want to go back to the letters of Aristeas and look at what it's talking about, and this is the whole explanation of how we get our Bible in the first place. This is another thing they are not telling you, and it's another thing that you do not know when you follow this doctrine. You got to trace it all the way back and understand what you're following and where it has its inception. So we go all the way back to Ptolemy II Philadelphus, and we look at his decree to basically have the Hebrew law translated into Greek. And this is what the letters of Aristeas is talking about. So, according to the letters of Aristeas, you had Ptolemy II Philadelphus basically sent a letter to Israel to have 72 Hebrew elders, 6 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, to come to Alexandria, Virginia. I said Virginia. I keep saying Virginia. To come to Alexandria, Egypt, to do a translation of the Hebrew law into Greek. This is what the letters is talking about. So, first of all, you got to believe that it was possible for them to find 6 elders from each of the 12 tribes of Israel at that time. That's one thing. Then they came all the way to Alexandria, Egypt to do this translation. And supposedly, when you read the letter, it goes into detail about all the stuff that that Ptolemy II Philadelphus gave to the Greeks and to the Jews. And he freed slaves and passed laws that said if any Greeks keep Jewish slaves, that they will be enslaved themselves and all kinds of stuff. So you got to accept that as well. So supposedly they came to do this translation. 72 Hebrew elders did the translation, and it supposedly took them 72 days, and they translated this whole thing. And we get the Septuagint from that. Septuagint means 70. So I'm going through this whole thing fast because I want to make a quick video because everybody's saying the videos are too long. So let me go through it quickly and give y'all the facts. So Septuagint means 70. So this is how the Bible comes into existence officially, through the Septuagint Greek. There is no proof, no evidence that this ever took place, first of all. There's no evidence, there's no proof that these 72 elders brought with them Hebrew Torah or Tanakh or what have you, or whatever they used to do this translation, if this translation ever occurred. Now, on top of that, when you look at Greek history, I'm talking about proven Greek history, it completely contradicts the letters of Orestes. First of all, we know about Hellenization. We know the Greeks was enforcing Hellenization throughout Israel. So why would they even care about having a Hebrew law if they are trying to force Hellenization on the Jews? It don't make sense. Why would you even want the book in the first place? Supposedly, according to the letters of Orestes, to basically say that, well, we have the same religion, we have the same beliefs, but we just call our gods different names. All of it is bullshit, and every scholar believes that the letters of Orestes is not as old as they say it is, and that the whole thing is bogus. So now understand what that means if scholars believe that the letters of Orestes is fake. A letter does not prove anything. So we can't look at this letter face value and read it, especially when it contradicts the actual real proven history of the Greeks and what they was doing. We can't look at this letter and say it is the end all, the overall, truth of where the Bible come from. So understand, again, in case you can't comprehend this, officially, this is where your Bible begins. This is how it starts. So if the letters of Orestes is bogus, where the hell did this come from? So we have what we can prove. The possession, the creation, the inception of the Bible begins with the Ptolemaic Greeks. Now wrap your head around that and think about that. Look at the proof and the facts, and this is what you'll see. So we can't find no proof before the Ptolemies of where this book came from. It has its inception and with the Ptolemies, and this letter is the only thing that backs it up, which, as you read, all scholars believe that it's bogus and it was actually written after the fact, and they lied on the date. So we don't know. It's just all of a sudden, poof, we get the Septuagint Greek given to us by the white fake pharaoh Ptolemy II Philadelphus, who conquered a bunch of black people and conquered through the Persians and everything, and stole land and killed people, and basically crowned himself a pharaoh in Kemet. So this is where your book begins. So again, you can't get any other book, any other biblical manuscript you want to read without first the Septuagint. So it's no proof that a black man had anything to do with this book as far as what we can prove. So again, when you go back, you gotta research the start of this. I know the story sounds all well and good, what these Hebrews talk about. I know it sounds like something that could be plausible, but you have to do real research and go back and look and check and see what the facts is saying. And it gets much deeper than this when you go back. As I said, I have more videos on the situation, but we can't simply accept the letters of Orestes since it contradicts everything. And we can't find any proof. All the little fragments, and I know a lot of people want to go to a lot of the stelas, and they look at so many things to try to prove the validity of the Hebrews, but the simple fact is real people who actually existed never spoke about them. We don't find any artifacts that's like, major. All these little pieces of pottery, shards, and everything that can be easily faked, look like a little kid wrote on them. None of them are 100% proven to be real. And that's another thing a lot of people are not understanding. It's not a definitive yes on any of this stuff. And when you read what Jewish scholars are even saying, the Jewish scholars can just say, well, yeah, it is real, just to help their own cause. But they're saying themselves, they know these artifacts, we don't know if this is, Hebrew or Paleo-Hebrew or what this stuff is. It's not what we expect it to be for the time period, as far as, the Hebrews running around and having this language and dominating everything. You don't see what you're supposed to see from the Hebrews in antiquity if they were doing what the Bible says they was doing. So this is what we find. The simple fact that you go back to the Ptolemies, where all this stuff began after they conquered. We know about Ptolemy, the first Soter. We know about Serapis. We actually, Frank Gaudio found the statue. So if anybody ever thought that was a myth, Frank Gaudio, when he found the sunken city of Heraklion, using the writings of Herodotus, he found the statue of Serapis. So we know when we read about Serapis, we know it's not no bullshit. We found the statue of Serapis in Kemet, in the sunken city of Heraklion, when Frank Gaudio went there and found it using the writings of Herodotus, which is why I always go to Herodotus, because Herodotus can be counted on. A lot of his writings have been proven true, and Frank Gaudio found the whole sunken city because of his writing. So, a lot of the Hebrews want to say, oh, well, you're using white scholars and you're reading white people stuff, so I can't trust none of it. Well, it's proven. It's proven, the stuff that we pointing to. We're not reading it and saying, we believe everything that they're saying, but we can read what they're talking about and find the actual proof that we can touch and see. And that's what Frank Gaudio did when he found Heraklion, and we found the statue of Serapis and everything else. So all this stuff is backed up. We know these people existed. We can't find none of these people that they're talking about in the Bible. We can't find Moses. There's no proof Moses ever existed. We can't find all these characters, and everything points to it being bogus. And the biggest thing you have to really think of if you want to get spiritual, because I know you people like to just get real emotional and spiritual about the religion. Why would God not preserve the book? God gave Noah the knowledge to build the ark, Moses the power to part the sea, Jesus walked on water, so on and so forth. All these people had powers to do amazing things in the book, yet God wanted us to know his word, but did not give these people, these prophets, so-called prophets who wrote it, the power to preserve his word, to preserve the book. We're supposed to all take it, on faith. It sounds like some bullshit. Y'all need to wake up and understand what's going on and see what this stuff really is, that it cannot be proven. It's not backed up by, proven history, which is why it requires faith, as I always say. So when you just go back to this point, this should be your starting point. When you first did your research, well, where did the Bible come from? Where did the Tanakh, the Torah, where did it all begin? And this is what you'll find. You'll run into LXX, the letters of Orestes, and that shit, and everything right there. Then you can keep going on faith, and you can pay attention to all the deception later on and just choose to be blind. But that should tell you right there. The whole reason why the Hebrews want to push King James being, a black man and everything like that is because they know officially, when you go back and look, the Bible begins with the white fake pharaoh, Ptolemy II Philadelphus. There is absolutely no proof that a black man had anything to do with the creation of the Bible, unless you want to go all the way back to Kemet, where they stole it from, where they stole all the stories and made all this allegory up. That's the only way we can look at it. So now a lot of people want to go into the time of, the Council of Nicaea. Everybody want to look at, Maccabees and look at the whole Jewish war and everything like that, and try to interject Judaism and the Hebrews into all that. Now, they do that as a distraction to cover up what happened before all that, which is what the letters of Orestes is talking about, and where we actually get the Torah Tanakh from, which is from the white Greeks. Forget all that other stuff that happened after that. That's a distraction. It's just that simple. You can't get any of these books they're talking about without the Septuagint Greek. So now when you present all of this damning proof and evidence to Hebrews, the next thing they say is, well, if the white man created the Bible, how come he put in there that he the devil? How come he put in the Bible that he's going to be destroyed and all this and that judgment is going to fall upon him and everything like that? Why would he put that in there if he wrote the book? First of all, show me in the Bible one Bible verse that says specifically, definitively, that white people, Caucasian people, are going to be destroyed in the end times. That they are specifically only white people only is going to get their comeuppance. Show me where it says that. Or is this shit that they putting in there that they're not supposed to? And we know that's the case. They add it to the book when it says clearly in Revelations not to add or take away from the book. So this is what they're doing, because it doesn't say nowhere in there, clear as day, that white people. Now, the book is supposed to be a prophecy talking about the future. We know in this time, in this day and age, we refer to things as being black and white. So the simple fact that they don't definitively tell you the color of Jesus Christ, they don't definitively tell you who they're talking about as far as racial wise. If you really want to give us a message and tell us what's going on, you're going to say, hey, this dude, white boy, 5'6", hair like this, look like that, is going to do this. Stop with the bullshit. Free, like burning brass and all this extra. That's bullshit, playing games. Wake up. It's a parable, people. The hell is wrong with y'all? It's not real. The Bible is not based on proven history. It's not proven. It's not based on proven history, which is why it requires faith. Why the hell would it require faith if we can prove the shit? So everybody walking around talking about something, we can prove this and we can prove that. You can't prove shit. That's why the book requires faith. Wake up. So now the next thing you hear is, because you woke up and because you actually did research and you understand what's going on, you get called coons. You know, you're a coon. You following the white man. You the white man's devil and this and that. When, first of all, they said that, first of all, they say the white man is the devil and the white man running this and the white man this and the white man that. And, everything to that effect. That the Bible says that the white man is, going to be destroyed and, all this stuff is going to happen to the white man. Why would the white man put this stuff in the Bible when, okay, so the white man supposedly put in the Bible that he's going to get destroyed. If we want to play that game, right? The white man also then put into the Bible that he is given power by God. He's ordained by God to control everything. And we can basically go through the Bible and prove that. So when you look at Romans 13:1, I always go through this. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resists the power resists the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive unto themselves damnation. So now, the powers that be. Who are the powers that be? The powers that be is our government. The powers that be is the so-called white man. So it's saying clearly that God put in power, ordained them to basically run everything. And I can go through a bunch of Bible verses where the Bible is telling you to obey your elected officials, to listen to the governors and everything like that, to basically be under control of the powers that be, which is this government system and the so-called white man that's running everything. And then we're supposed to obey these Hebrew laws, these laws of the Hebrew Israelites and everything like that. But when you look at the law, it's the same, judicial system that we have today. And I always talk about this. When you go to Ezra and you look and you read Ezra 7:11, it says, now this is the copy of the letter that the king Artaxerxes gave unto Ezra the priest, the scribe, even a scribe of the words of the commandments of the Lord and of his statutes to Israel. 25 says, and thou Ezra, after the wisdom of thy God that is in thy hand, set magistrates and judges, which may judge all the people that are beyond the river, all such as know the laws of thy God, and teach ye them that know them not. 26 says, and whosoever will not do the law of thy God and the law of the king, let judgment be executed speedily upon him, whether it be unto death or to banishment or to confiscation of goods and to imprisonment. What does this sound like to you people? This sounds like God's law or the government's law, so-called white man's law that has imprisoned so many black people, for decades now. This is why you put your hand on the Bible in court, because you are putting your hand on their laws in their court system. So if we so-called supposed to be following the white man and y'all follow this book, we see who clearly is following the white man. So boom, there you have it, clear as day. Right in the Bible itself, the very laws that we follow to this day that we see judges, we see magistrates, and everything the Bible is talking about as the law is right there. So how is it that we supposed to be following this so-called white man when you abide by the Bible and that's his law in that book? Whether you accept Ezra or not, it's in your King James Version. I just read it from. So there's no way around that. This is why we put our hand on your King James Version in court. This is why we do it. So if these people are supposed to be, against God and everything like that, how come this government system, these same powers that be, give tax exempt status to churches, to Hebrew Israelite churches as well, to y'all whole doctrine and everything y'all do? We already proved that y'all get 501c3 status. They let y'all stand on the corner and scream at white people all day. Who do that? The powers that be. So who is following what? When we sitting up here talking against this government and you following the book that they created. So y'all better wake up. Come on, man. It's bogus. It's not our history. We are Africans. We are not from some damn Shem. Prove that Shem existed. Where the proof at? There is no proof. So what it comes down to is you have a bunch of people who have been deceived once again, by a bunch of black people who is using the psychological effects that black people are feeling from slavery. They are using the hate that black people have for white people. They are using the ignorance of black people and their unwillingness, their laziness to go research, to actually go learn another language, learn how to read other languages. They're using all this stuff against you and getting you to follow this doctrine, which is a setup. It's just that simple. These people are agents. That's how I look at them. I don't care what nobody say. And then you have people who want to go into this whole DNA crap, which is so funny and it's so contradictory to their whole doctrine. So everybody want to talk about this. They want to talk about this E1B1A crap, the haplogroup that, okay, if you're going to use that and you want to talk about E1B1A, well, then you have to go back to where, they dated. They dated to over 25, 30,000 years ago. But it says clearly in the back of your King James Version that Genesis basically took place between 4004 BCE to 1635 BCE. So that's when the world was supposed to have started. This is why we say the Bible says the world is only 6,000 years old. And it says it clear as day in the back of your King James Version. So if you have a copy that's dated before 1950, which my Bible that I have here is dated in the 1940s, in the back of my book, it says it clearly. It has the date, as I'll show you on the screen. A lot of the new Bibles that's after the 1950s, when we start getting these ESV and all that, the NIV and all these other versions, they don't have that stuff back there. It don't say that the world is 6,000 years old and that Genesis took place between 4004 BCE and 1635 BCE. So it's a joke. It's a joke. Y'all better wake up and do some research and start reading and stop following these people on YouTube and start watching these YouTube videos, getting all hype and just regurgitating all this stuff that is pointless. It's pointless. It's not proven. It's bogus. We are African people. Never would I ever thought growing up that I would see black people disrespect Africa so much. Not to mention the fact that, one, they have already made us embarrassed to even be associated as African people with all the feed and save the children videos. A lot of black people don't even want to associate themselves with Africa. They look at Africa as a place of poverty and poor and everything like that, even though it's the richest fucking land on the face of the earth. So, then to have it slandered and people just say, we from dusty ass, small ass Israel, we ain't Africans. It's stupid. And then people want to go as far as to say, we don't even look like them. Not understanding, of course, in a different climate, we will look different over hundreds of years. We melanated people. It's just that simple. Nothing that this doctrine teaches can be proven. It's all bogus. It's all bullshit. Everything that they're talking about, first of all, one, you can't find me a Hebrew doctrine that exists before 4th century BCE. You can't find it. You got little fragments of stuff here and there and everything like that. How come the most ancient stuff we find in Israel belonged to the Egyptians? We can't find no proof that these Hebrews, these Israelites existed in Israel before the Egyptians. Where's the proof? Where's the bodies? Where's the civilizations? We don't find them nowhere. They don't exist. So we know in the Bible, which is how they try to cover up for the shit, we know God destroyed destroyed Israel a bunch of times in the Bible. And this is their excuse for saying, well, God destroyed Israel and all of the proof is gone. Well, how come we keep finding Egyptian shit that's dated older than the time y'all was supposed to be there? We find Egyptian stuff dated to the time that King David was supposed to be reigning in Israel. Where is the Hebrew Israelite stuff that we don't find? How come Herodotus doesn't talk about no damn Hebrews, no Jews who's supposed to have parted the sea and killed a bunch of Egyptian soldiers? Where is the proof of that? How come the Bible doesn't talk about the Great Pyramid? How is that not in there? But they got the measurements of Noah's Ark. They got the measurements of Solomon's temple, but they're not talking about the greatest structures on this planet, which is the Great Pyramid that we know was there. Not a mention of the Great Pyramid. Why is that? Y'all better wake up, man. Stop bullshitting around with this stuff. If you want the truth, you're going to get the truth. If you want to troll and talk shit in the comment section, it's right there. Nothing that you say is going to refute this information. Y'all can't do it. And this is not about stroking ego and saying I'm right and you wrong. It's about facts. I'm tired of seeing too many educated black people falling victim to this stupid ass doctrine just because they don't want to read a damn book. Read the Bible. It's telling you exactly what it is. This doctrine is harmful to our people and it causes separation. So we can get into all that, who we supposed to pray to if the Bible is not real and all that. You wouldn't be praying to nobody if it wasn't for religion, this whole organized religion. People wouldn't ask that question if, religion didn't exist. The ancients wasn't praying to nobody. They was giving, paying homage and basically, doing what you're supposed to do as far as, being appreciative of nature, of the sun. I mean, that's what it's really talking about. They understood what nature was and what it did, and that there's an unseen force that helps us out. And, I get deep into that in my series and stuff like that, in the Saturn series and everything. But they understood all this stuff. So it wasn't that they was praying to something. It was that they was understanding about nature, which the Bible is basically completely against. And it's telling you not to deal with astrology and nature and everything like that. All this stuff is supposed to be the devil and everything. So, you pray to nothing. You pray to yourself. Nobody who you pray to is going to actually cause a change in your physical reality except for you. It's just that simple. You get back what you put out. It's a lot more research you need to do and understanding what's really going on, and trying to run to what sounds correct and safe to you is not the right way to go. It's not it. The research must be done. You got to look at this stuff and you got to ask critical questions. And I guarantee you, if we sit around and listen to the Hebrew doctrine long enough, the same kind of doubt that you had in Christianity, you're going to have in this doctrine as well as with Islam as well. So you got to really do your own research, or at least pay attention to stuff that you can go prove that's factual. At the end of the day, all you got is faith. I'd rather have proof. At the end of the day, with these religions, you got to deal with faith, not fact. And come on now, it's the information age. You're smart enough to understand that if you can't prove it, if everything is pointing against it, then something must be up. You need to look deeper, and act accordingly. And this is what we have done in our research. We ain't here trying to destroy, your hopes and dreams and everything like that. We're trying to put out the truth so we can move forward, because we have been deceived by this doctrine for thousands of years, and it's time to stop. It's time to wake up, and it's time to move on to the truth. And the truth is far better. So, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch. I don't want to make this too long. I'll see you guys next video.